come back to it. Yay! All right. Well, congratulations on having the intention to be here at this time and making it here. That's such a huge accomplishment. I'm going to light some sage, and I invite you to do the same if you like, or maybe light a candle just to signify this as a sacred space. And all of us who are doing this work, we are all doing it because we're passionate about it and because it makes a difference. It's part of how we contribute to the world. And we're all balancing this passion and these contributions with motherhood, and also taking good care of ourselves. And maybe there's even a relationship, a partner that's in the mix. There's so much that we're balancing. So although we're here to discuss and learn together about marketing, and this is something that contributes to our business, my invitation is for this to also be a self-care opportunity for you to relax and to connect. So I invite you to take in a nice deep breath and release it out with a sigh. And maybe you'd like to roll your shoulders. Maybe you'd like to offer yourself a nice stretch. We're here together for a couple of hours to learn and to grow and to take good care of ourselves and these thriving businesses that are making a difference in the world. But first, taking care of ourselves. So welcome, sisters. I'm so glad that you're here. Awesome. Nareda, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi. I can't take really credit for it. It's my husband's equipment. He makes it all pretty for me. So, but thank you. Yeah, so I'm Nereda, and let's see. My husband and I own the Healing Tree Collective, which is in Tempe, Arizona. It's a healing studio, and then we have a massage therapist in house, and then also another room that you can book for one-on-one sessions. And then together we have recently started a group coaching program called the Real Magic Experience that kind of originated from, or actually it kind of was born from last Momboss training that we had. And then I was going to do that on my own. And then we decided to merge together and create this whole group coaching program, which teaches about your social brand and understanding social media and in a more purposeful way. And yeah, I'm a big mom advocate. So I share a lot of content about moms and motherhood. And I think that's about it. Also, it's going to be a little weird because the way my husband has it set up, the camera is like on the side of the monitor. So it looks like I'm not looking at you, but actually when I look to the side, I'm looking at you. Just so you know, I'm still looking at you. I'm going to just try to look at both.
That is perfect. Thank you so much, Nareda, for being here.
Yes.
Welcome, sister. I'm so
Thank
glad
you.
you're here.
Jen, do you want to share a little bit about your experience?
Sure. I just started doing reels really last year after our Momboss training about it. And it's kind of baffling to me. Like, I did a reel that was about my fish, and that's one of the most popular ones of all the work that I've done for Magical Mom, is in cultivating these reels. And I spent like 2 hours on a reel, and the fucking fish one was the one that got the most views. So I feel a little baffled by it. And I do, like, I was echoed. Or I want to echo that sometimes I'll just overthink it or spend too much time focusing on it. And so, yeah, I actually enjoy doing reels, but the problem is I feel like I have to. So then it's like not as fun. So I want to find that balance of having fun and being creative with it, and also being a good steward of my time with it, and putting something out that is likely to connect with someone, or make a difference. Like this last year I've been focusing on what can I do that actually is a contribution to people, not just advertising about what we're up to.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that, all of you. That's great because I can definitely remember to plug in some of those things that you guys have shared throughout the presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. Let me make sure. Okay, can you see the whole thing? Yeah? No? Yeah, okay.
Now we can. Yep.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay, do you see that little blue circle with the arrow too? Okay, cool. Okay, so just share a little bit of my story. So I started using reels because I thought they were cool, and I was like, I want to learn how to do them. And my husband's a videographer, and so I kind of felt like reels would be like my way to do like videography, because I've always was drawn to it, but I don't know how to do like all the stuff he does, right? So I was like, I'm gonna learn how to do this, and I'm gonna do it by myself. And so I it was kind of my mission to learn how to do all this stuff by myself and not need his help at all. And so it was just kind of a fun thing for me. And so I started using reels, and I didn't have like a business or anything like that. It was just really just providing content for moms. So organically, and within a year, I gained 1,000 followers from me just sharing content about my my message, right? And the reason I share that, not to be fixated on numbers, that's not why. It's just to show that with reels, you can grow your following organically because they just naturally reach more people. So, and that's with me not having something that I'm directing them to like a service or anything of mine, like imagine if I would have, then I could have like brought that into that too, right? But it's just to share that, yeah, organically your reels can reach a lot of people, and you can gain followers in a way that they want to follow you, right? um I like to always say, like, I'm not an expert. Like, I don't think anybody really is an expert when it comes to like social media, especially because it's always changing. But we're all learning together, right? And we can learn from each other when we're having these discussions. I think that's why these discussions are so valuable. I also really feel very passionate about helping. This is kind of how it all started. The Real Magic experience started because I wanted to help specifically mom bosses show up, because a lot of times, women in general, it's hard for us to show up on video because we are our worst critics, and especially as women. And I really just wanted, there were so many times where I would meet a woman who had this amazing business. She had these amazing gifts, and she wasn't showing up on social media. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like if you would show up, you could share your message with more people. And it just like would break my heart, because I'm like, gosh, what you're doing is amazing. More people need to hear it. So that's kind of where my passion comes from. And so, like I mentioned earlier, my partner and I, my husband and I, we partnered together. He has been in social media marketing for like 7 years, and he does one-on-one work with clients. So we decided to merge that together. So that's a lot of what we do now is talk about all this stuff. So reels, um, there's this big thing on about reels, right? And a lot of times we feel this pressure with it. And so the pressure can, leave you feeling like John was saying, like you have to post, or feeling like it has to be perfect, right? Because reels, it's like the big thing, right? Reels are special, definitely, because you have the potential, like Raw, she reached thousands of people. You have the potential to reach so many people and have them hear about your gifts and your offerings, right? And what's really cool is like that is totally free exposure to you. I mean, we literally have this tool on our phones where we can reach so many people and bring them to our page, to our links, to whatever it is we're offering. That is pretty cool to be living in a time where you can do that and you can reach anybody in the world, especially if you have like a product or something that you can do online. I mean, legit, like you can reach anybody in the world. So it is really, really spectacular. And video is definitely how people feel the most connected to somebody without ever meeting them. So, and a little side note to that, the reason why Instagram started pushing reels is because they saw how successful TikTok was. I mean, everybody was on TikTok and that's all video. And they realized, oh my gosh, like video is it. And so then Instagram started pushing video. But if you think about it, let's say you offer, like, I'm like a massage therapist, right? So I'm already kind of iffy because that's a personal thing, right? I'm going to go to a massage therapist and I've never met them, and I'm going to take my clothes off and they're going to be massaging me. But let's say I'm scoping people out, because this is what people do now. They scope you out on Instagram because they're checking you out. And I watch these videos of this massage therapist, and I'm getting a vibe from her. Like, you can pick up on their energy through video, right? And I'm like, I feel connected to her and I already feel comfortable with her, and that's why I'm going to book with her. So that's really powerful in being able to use video and showing your face and showing who you are. Like, you don't have to pretend to be anybody else or anything, but really just showing up as who you are, so that basically your ideal client can already start building that relationship with you before they have even spoken to you. So it's pretty magical, right? Like using reels. So I know that we are technically here because of reels. However, I'm going to say things that probably most people wouldn't care about or wouldn't think that are important. And that's the topic of stories versus reels, because I think that can be confusing and you don't know what to post on what and what's the value in each. So just for reference, up here you'll see all those little bubbles with stories, and then on the bottom they just moved it over recently, so I don't know if you got this update because some people get them and before others, but those are the reels down here. So now you've got two different places to put content in. And how do you know what to put where and who's watching what? And how do you engage differently with both? So a lot of the stuff that I'm going to talk about, because this is something that we're really passionate about, is understanding a foundation for social media. Because when you understand that and how to use it purposefully and with intention, then you can kind of create however you want to create, right? Because sometimes there's a lot of pressure of like, I have to do it like that, or this is what's trending right now, so I have to do that, But a lot of like really what people want to see is originality, and that's something only you can do by being you. So when you understand this foundation, then you can understand how to use social media. And that is way more important than actually learning how to make cool reels. Okay. And I'll talk about that a little bit more. So although they're very similar, and you can see like when you're going to post a story, it's very similar to when you're going to post, I'm just going to move this for a second. I don't know if you can see this, but can you see that on my screen? Like how I moved the people, all of you? Do you see that or no? No? Okay, cool. I just didn't know if I was blocking anything. Okay, so obviously there's a lot more options here for reels versus stories. However, they're very similar in the sense that usually if you have good practice with stories, you have a good sense of how to do a reel. So it's a really great place to practice, definitely. And obviously this is all more editing stuff that you're going to do because you're bringing videos together on reels. But stories is, and I'm going to talk about this in a second, but stories is a great way for you to start practicing for, especially if you want to do more video content, because well, let me go to this. Stories are very valuable, and I don't think people understand that, but a story allows somebody to see you in real time, which means they see that you're a real person. which means that now you're actually building a relationship with them, even though you're not even like face to face with them. But that's the other trick too, is that when you're talking on your stories, you're not talking to a ghost or random people that you don't know. When you're talking, it's like if you're talking to a real person, and that's what it's going to feel like. And that's part of building a relationship on social media now, because we know how to build relationships with people in real life, right? It's the same thing. It's a little shifting of like the mindset, because you're technically looking at a screen, but there are other people on that side of the screen that are watching, and they're getting to know you as you're talking, right? So this is also a great opportunity to engage with people, because when you're on your stories, and if somebody wants to respond to a story, now you've got them in your messages, in your actual DMs. They are now, this is them actually wanting to interact with you. Like they have decided that they're going to take that time to respond to you, which is a big deal, because I mean, there's a lot of people that people are following, and they're not going to give you're not going to give your time to just anybody, right? So that's very valuable. One, because you're getting engagement, and, obviously the algorithm and all that stuff, they like that. But two, and I might repeat a few things just so you know, but two, that's data for you too, to know like, what is it that people are liking? What is it that they're wanting to know more of? Stories is a great place for you to collect data on what you could potentially share more of on your reels. So that's also very valuable. And stories is a great way to repurpose content, or like reshare, right? So you posted a reel, you can share it on your stories. That's great. Go back to like a few weeks ago to a reel that you did, and share it on a random day, so that maybe you'll get more exposure that way. Or maybe you just feel like saying like, oh, I just remembered something that I had shared about, and if you didn't get to catch it, like I shared about this or whatever, reshare all your stuff, because not everybody is going to see all the content you post. So stories is a great place to do that. And then also on your highlights, which you can see down here, you can share the story on your highlights. But if you have highlight bubbles, and I'm sorry, I don't have a picture of it on here, but if you have highlight bubbles on your actual page, that's a great way to, the way we see it is like, you're documenting your journey, right? So stories, you're kind of sharing that real life stuff, and it's like the journey. And so you can, if it's something that's valuable in your business, that you want to keep that journey forever, because stories, as we know, they go away after 24 hours, then you keep it in your highlight bubble, because then somebody can come back to your page. And that's probably one of the first places that people will see, is your highlight bubbles. And they're like, oh, let me see what's been going on in the past, to continue again getting to know you, to build that relationship. And then one of the biggest things, it's staying connected with current followers, because the people who are watching your stories are your current followers that have decided that they want to follow you. Like they've already invested that in you. And so it's a great way to stay connected to them. Now, reels are a great way to build your brand, because something that we talk about a lot is that your Instagram profile, that is your digital resume. When somebody comes onto your page, that is how they're going to figure out like who you are, what you offer, how you present yourself, what means a lot to you, all that stuff. So that's part of building your brand, especially because this is not going to go away. Like this stays on unless you delete it, right? But it's not going to go away. And it's a great way to catch somebody who's already kind of showing interest in you, to be like, oh yes, done. Like I want to do business with her, and then obviously reels is a wonderful place, or a tool to reach many more people. Stories, you're not going to do that, right? Because that's your current followers. Reels is where you're going to want to reach more people. And on reels, you still can create engagement by comments, right? So that's harder though. That is harder for other people to comment on reels, but it's very valuable. So one of the things that we also teach a lot about is social media etiquette. Like, please respond to your comments, not only because it is respectful, because they gave their time to you to post on your reel, but also because that is adding to your engagement, and it might pop up even more when on somebody's feed if there's comments going on there, and you get to attract your ideal clients by you being you. Because let's face it, you're not gonna not everyone is gonna be an ideal client, and you don't want everybody to be your client, right? You want, I might have switched the words a little bit there, but you're gonna have an ideal client. You're not gonna want to work with everybody, and not everybody's gonna want to work with you, and that's okay. They're gonna see who you are through your reels. They're gonna get to know you, and you're gonna attract more of the people that you want to attract. So it's great. You get to like filter people out. So that is very beneficial, especially when you want to be intentional with your business. And reels can be shared by anyone, which is really cool, because if anybody shares your reels, then you're just automatically getting even more exposure, which also is a huge gesture in the social media world, social media etiquette. If somebody shares your stuff, like that is like the ultimate compliment, because they didn't have to do that. They didn't have to share you to be in front of all their followers, and they did. So that's huge. If anybody ever shares any of that, please take the time to say thank you. It's a lot. So, and then of course it's what Instagram is pushing. That is it's becoming all about video. So a few more differences. Stories, you can do max 60 seconds versus reels is 90 seconds. Stories disappear after 24 hours, except of course, if you put it in your highlights, whereas reels stay on your feed forever. Stories is more raw in the moment. It really actually can be anything, but what's cool about stories is that you don't have to spend a lot of time on that. You could literally document like, oh, today I'm so excited. I'm going to try this new thing out with my client, and, whatever, like I've noticed that this is really helping with this, you want to plug in those like seeds too, right? But you don't have to do like any editing, right? So take advantage of that too. Whereas reels it's curated content. You are literally creating from a blank canvas something that you want to be seen by other people. You are intentionally creating something for people to see. And then on stories, like I was saying, you are talking to a person at a time, technically, when they're on the other side of the screen, right? So this is what we say is going deep, as in you're really building that relationship with that person or your current followers. You know who they are, like you literally can go down your followers list and you know who you are. Versus social media, you're going wide. You don't know who you're going to reach. You can reach a lot of people. You're talking to a big crowd at a time, right? And then, like I said, stories is a great place to experiment. Reels, again, it's your digital resume. Stories, it's very valuable to get that engagement. Like I was saying, reels is great for exposure. And then stories, you can do 10 hashtags at a time, versus reels, you can do 30 hashtags at a time. So I want to talk about this because everybody wants to know about the algorithm. And there's no secret magic pill. None of it. Honestly, like people don't even know what like the algorithm is. I mean, they can try, like people who are actually like in the Instagram world and they're doing all this stuff, they try their best, but at the end of the day, like sometimes it's a little scary, but technology is so advanced that it's going to kind of do its own thing. So you don't really know. And there's a lot of theories about like what ends up getting pushed out and what doesn't. And I won't get into that, but you just don't know what's going to be pushed out. And so like Jen with her fish, like sometimes that can be discouraging because you're like, oh my God, are you freaking kidding me? Like that was what I've had moments like that. And I'm like, I didn't even really care about this one. And like, so which that's another thing that I talk about a lot is don't get too emotionally attached to any of your reels, because that can really affect your process in creating. It can affect your thoughts about what value you're, whether they're worthy or not. So don't get emotionally attached to anything. Know that you can recreate any reel you've done in a different way. And so Stephanie, to your point about you don't know how much moms do and don't know, the best way to do it is pretend like nobody knows anything. Because no matter what, a lot of times, well, no, many times we need to see something twice to really even know it, So And you might reach somebody who hadn't seen it the first time, and now you're getting to reach the second person. So just assume that people don't know anything, because you will get stuck in that, like the fear of like, oh no, what if somebody already knows this and I'm repeating this, and you can't do that, because then it takes away from the fun, the creativity. And like I said, there's so many different ways you can say something, and not everybody is going to see the one reel, right? So just remember that. So again, back to the algorithm, like there's no, yeah, there's no secret sauce to that. You just, what we always say is you keep showing up. You keep showing up, whether that you have one view or not, you keep showing up. And that's because, like I was talking about your digital resume, sometimes we can be so like in the now, right? Like, I got to post this reel, and this reel is going to show this, and all this stuff. But really, you're actually doing this long term. So social media is a long term thing. It is not short term thing, because like I was talking about this digital resume, if you started to make reels and then you're like, oh my gosh, these aren't getting any views, and like, I suck at this, like I'm going to stop. And you stopped, right? What if you wouldn't have stopped and you would have kept going? And then somebody comes to your page and they see all these things that you've done, and now they're scrolling through and they understand your services and they want to work with you. So it's actually, you're not posting reels for the now moment. You're posting it for later, when you've got this digital resume and your customers are coming and they're like, yes, that's a yes for me. I'm going to work with you. So this is just an example, like, of how reels isn't really, only about 10 to 20% of your current followers see your reels. And obviously this is like an extreme, like this was a reel that like got really big. And so, but I just want to show you like the potential, right? It's really, reels are targeted to non-followers, to everyone, right? So with that in mind, you have to be creating content that, with that in mind, that you're going to be targeting new people. So you're not going to share something where, or not saying that you're not, but what I'm saying is, if you're going to share something like completely random that maybe like your friend would understand because she knows you on your reel, like if you come across somebody that doesn't know you, there really isn't going to be as much value there, because they're like, I don't really know who this is and what she's talking about. Swipe. Whereas if you have that in your mind, that you could potentially be reaching new people that don't know about you, you're going to structure it differently so that they're going to want to know more about what you're offering or what you're about, and then you're going to bring them into your page. That's really the goal. And I like to think that I'm like a really kind person and I care about people, but when it comes to social media, I have to be super cut and dry about it. People that don't know you don't care about you. Like, you really have to think about your posts as like, if this isn't bringing somebody value, they don't care. That's just kind of how it works. And it's nothing like personal or nothing bad about you, but it's just like, what it's turned into now is that people get on social media because they're like, I want to see what's going to entertain me, right? And if you don't, then I don't really care. So how are you going to get somebody's attention if you're sharing something that they don't really care about, which is fine. Sometimes you will have content that that, and that's okay. That's where the intention comes in. If there's something that you want to share because that's something that you want to share, do it. Just know that when you're going to do something with the intention of growing or getting more exposure, then you're going to curate your reels differently, right? So it's not to say that you can't, but just know that people don't care about a lot of things when they're on social media. It's literally like when you're on Netflix and you're like, oh, I'm going to just watch a TV show for my entertainment. That's kind of what people do. So how are you going to grasp their attention, basically? And that's not at all to put any pressure. It's just so that that there's intention when you're creating your reels, that like, I'm doing this because I want to help somebody understand this offering that I have and how this can benefit them, or anything like that. And then your content attracts what you want. So when we're talking about being intentional and what we're calling in and being purposeful, that's where that's honestly where being you is so important. You don't want to be pretending like you're somebody else. You don't want to be copying somebody else. It's okay to look at other people's, excuse me, I'm like a little congested. Uh, Other people's content and say, I admire this and I really like that she does this. And this is something that I think I would like to try, but you're not trying to be like anybody else. And that's where the comparison trap can really affect you and keep you from posting or keep you from just showing up in the way that you want to show up. And then again, stories is only your existing followers, and it really, your reach depends on your engagement, right? So if people are engaging with your stories, if they're messaging you, if you use a little different buttons, you know, like how you can answer a question, or like you can slide if for like the emoji or whatever, that's going to push your little highlight bubble or your story bubble to be one of the top ones. So if you're constantly showing up on stories, you're going to be showing up more and more on people's like first few bubbles. And if you're like me, I usually just go to the first few that like show up, and then I'm like, okay, I got to do something else, because then, you know, it can take a lot of time. So if you're creating like real authentic engagement and people are wanting to talk to you in your stories, like you're going to be showing up. And so obviously there's a little heart thing that's like the easiest thing that people do, and that's also engagement, right? And again, it's building community and connection, because it is so raw in the moment that you are coming across as a real person and not like as this like robot on the other side of the screen. And yeah, it's a great place to experiment. Like, do whatever you want. Like, if you want to try something that you might think in your head, like, this is so weird and this is crazy, do it. Like, just see what happens. It's okay. It's okay to just experiment and try different random things. And sometimes if you do a story and you really like it and you're like, oh, I can totally use this as a reel, like repurpose that and post it as a reel. Don't work so hard on creating new things all the time. You don't have to do that. Keep repeating your same message, keep repeating what you do in different unique ways, but you don't have to reinvent the wheel every single time you do a reel. Okay. So this is how you can see a little bit of like the different things that you can do. You can add links on there. You can do this little emoji thing. So this is just different ways to get engagement, a poll, the quiz, the little swipey thing. You want to do like the easiest things for people, because I know it sounds crazy, but like we're so lazy. Like people are so lazy. Like they're not gonna want to work hard to engage with you. Like they're not. They're not. If it's like if you think about it now, like you mostly might get the heart because it's literally just like a little tap. But don't be surprised if when you ask a question, you hardly get answers, unless it's like a hot topic. And then you're like, that's data. So you run with that and you're like, dang, I got like a lot of responses, right? But people want to make it really easy. So if you have something really exciting that you want to share and you put up one of those little buttons and like people are engagement, that's good. It's like you're creating engagement for the algorithm for Instagram. The reason I don't like to focus on that a lot is because I really think we need to go back to using social media intentional versus I just want to grow. I just want numbers. It's not about that. It's just about you showing up to put your business out there because people want to see it. And then again, followers are real people. It's not like a no face thing. I know that it can feel like that. It's not. Like, I really do believe we can come back to creating a connection on social media. I think we can change the culture around this. And I think it's so important to do that collectively and be like, we are people and we're going to respect each other how we would in person as we are on the screen. So I just wanted to put that out there because that's a big thing that it's going to help you. I really do believe it's going to help you in how you show up. And always focusing on your why. Like, why do you want to show up? Why is this important for you to share your message? And why is it important for you to build these relationships? And showing up as who you are, not who you feel like you have to be or anything like that, you know. And again, the social media etiquette, because you know that's important. So a big thing with showing up, and I would love to hear if anybody wants to share anything right now, is what stops us from showing up? Because now being on video is so accessible, right? Like a long time ago when we were younger and we would see somebody on a TV screen, it was like, it was a famous person. It was, they were dressed up really nice and it was all professional and all this stuff, right? Now people literally can be you can there can be like people on TikTok that are legit like in their pajamas and get millions of views. Like we now have the potential of being on screen in front of millions of people. And so I think sometimes that stops us from just showing up real, because we have this image of like, to be on a screen, like we have to be, you know, proper and stuff. But people don't like that. People connect with real people. So sometimes I think that can be hard. Also, if you're not used to seeing yourself on video, it can be really hard because we're critiquing each other. But this is something that I like to remind people, is that if that person were to be in person with you, like in real life, you're not going to look any different than you would on video. It's the same thing. You know, it's just that when you're on video, you're watching yourself and you're being hard on yourself. So um that can be a hard thing too. But the other thing that I want to mention is that there's no wrong way of doing this. And if you're newer, or even if you're wanting to experiment with using reels, like you have to start somewhere there. And then this is more speaking on like the feeling like it has to be perfect. um you might like months down the road be like, oh my gosh, this one was awful. And that's okay. You have to learn, like you have to experiment, and you have to go back and say, oh, that was awful. And like, look, like I got so much better at that. Or go back and look, I didn't like how I did that, so I'm going to do this next time. Use it as a tool for you to improve your skills, versus as just like being hard on yourself, because nobody is really going to care as much as you do, which is great that you care, but also that's going to stop you from showing up. And no, we're here to grow your business. Um, One last thing on that is that yes, it will feel like you want to shit yourself when you're going to expose yourself, when you're being vulnerable, when you're doing something new. It's going to feel so uncomfortable. And that's the thing I had in the last slide was confidence is not something you're going to have. Like you're going to have to build that from the ground up. It's going to be you posting something and then maybe somebody asking questions or questioning you and how you handle that. And it's going to be you showing posting something and getting like 5 views on it, and you questioning it, but then reminding yourself about the bigger picture and why you're doing this and how you got to keep going, because your why is way bigger than views on Instagram. So just post anyway. And if you need, my husband does this all the time, where if he's going to post something and he's like iffy about it, or he feels like uncomfortable, is very vulnerable for him, he'll hand me the phone and he'll have me push the post button. And if you need somebody to do that, like do that. Because sometimes it can feel like, I don't want to. But I really want to push you to do new things and get yourself out there. It's no different than if you were in real life. Okay. Just know that it's not something different. And I think we talked a lot about this already, that it's you just keep going when it doesn't turn out the way that you wanted it to, when you thought like, oh my gosh, this was going to be so good and it didn't. It's okay. I'm going to repurpose it somehow and like use it in a different way later. I mean, maybe it was the timing, maybe it was whatever. Like it's not worth it to spend that energy in analyzing too much. Okay. Like just be like, that's what happened. Okay. I'm going to move on and I'm going to keep going. So yeah, just don't, unfortunately, like those numbers can really be harmful sometimes when we're so fixated on that. Okay, so these are some like really important tips that feel so like it's not a big deal, but it is. There are guidelines when you're creating a reel of where your words should be placed. A lot of times people go too low, too much to the sides, too much on top. And I know it sounds like it's funny. My husband and I always talk about this because he works with clients that all it has to do with social media, right? And sometimes like he'll get calls like late at night about something and he's like, "Oh my gosh, it's like not that serious." And yet social media is so important and it is significant in today's world, especially as business owners. And at the same time, it's not that important, right? So it's like it's an interesting balance. And I think it reflects a lot about in our lives too. Like how much should we be on our phones all damn day long, or how much should we not, right? So it's like it's a hard thing that we're trying to figure out, all of us, right, as technology is advancing. But so it sounds so silly when I say this, but it's really important. If somebody is scrolling on their feed, and this over here on the far right, this is how it looks like when you're on your actual feed, versus this first one is when you're actually like looking at reels, like when they're fully like expanded, right? On here on your feed, like, okay, so yeah, I could figure out what it says, but some people it's like too high. And if you are in front of somebody who is new that doesn't know you, that they could have possibly like wanted to follow you or like give you a like or something, but they can't read it. Like I said, people are so like they're not going to waste their time. They're not going to spend like, it's probably like an average of like 3 seconds before somebody swipes, right? So you can possibly lose somebody. And that's why this is so important, even though it sounds so silly. Stay within the guidelines so that everything is clear, so that it's visible, so that people can read it. And then down here, like you said, like I was saying, I'm not going to waste my time trying to like hold the screen down and try to read it. Like people aren't going to do that. So stay in the middle. Those guidelines are really, really important. And I know that sometimes, or I don't know, actually, I'd love to know why people don't follow the guidelines. I would love to know that. Is it like because there's no time, or, I don't know, but make it a habit so that whenever you're doing it, you're paying attention to that. It's just a way to make your reel stand out more, and it looks more, I don't want to say professional, but yeah, like you put time into it. That it does speak a lot when somebody sees a reel and they're like, wow, she put time into that. So please, please follow these guidelines because it is really important. And that's what I'm going to say, just because you'd be surprised how many people forget this. Clean your cameras. They're like, they get so dirty. They really do, because of our fingers or whatever, kids, all these things. And it can really make a difference in making something look clearer or not. That's one of the biggest ways to catch somebody's attention. If your video is clear quality, like somebody is already going to be drawn to it, versus if it's not, like, and again, it sounds so silly when you're talking about this, but these are things that when they're all put together, yeah, like it totally makes it into a quality reel. So definitely use well-lit areas. If if you get like this awesome idea and it's really late at night and there's no lighting, like I would just suggest that you find lighting or wait for it, just get that good lighting, because that's going to make a huge difference. And then as far as the background goes, it depends on your brand, right? Like if you are targeting moms and you're talking about real life, and you've got laundry in the back, like that's totally fine, right? That's part of your brand, because that's how you're wanting to target people. But I mean, if you're talking about if you're someone that does facials and you've got like a hot mess in the back, that might be distracting, and it might not allow your message to come across the way that it should. um Also, when we are creating reels, like it can be really enticing to use a lot of filters because they're fun, right? Just be careful to not do it too much, because it gets like too busy. Like you don't want to overwhelm people or too many transitions. What's cool now is that we can implement transitions within Instagram, but if you're doing it too much, like it can just feel like, whoa, 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 like there's so much going on and I'm trying to read this. And so you want to be clean, definitely give it your own flavor, but just keep it clean. So again, it's the quality of the reel, right? And another huge thing is don't sometimes we can get so excited about wanting to share something in a reel, like the actual text in a reel, right? And then let's say the audio that you picked is not long enough, or your clip is not long enough. Don't put a whole novel on there. Don't try to fit it all in there. Make there be enough time so that somebody can actually read it. so that it's clear and visible. If there's more to it that you want to share, then write on there more in the caption. Read below for more or whatever, write that. Don't try to fit it on there because it's just going to feel like, I didn't, I'm not coming on Instagram to read a novel or trying so hard to read it before it ends or trying to watch it over and over again. So don't make your people work too hard for that. So make sure there's enough time. And too short or too long of clips can actually like hurt you because if it's too short, then it's like, I didn't get to see it. If it's too long, they'll get bored. Like they really do. If it's the same thing. Now it depends, right? That's where you got to choose wisely with intention. Do you want, like, let's say it's like a whole view of something that the whole point is for them to see the whole thing. That makes sense. But if it's the same scene for a long time, you can lose them. Like try to think of somebody that's new that's going to be seeing this. And if it's like, okay, then like cut it. That's what's really cool is that we have these editing tools so that you can literally show what you want to show and cut out what you don't want to show. So those are really important to remember. Actually, I'm going to go back because I don't think I let anybody answer because I got carried away. Before I go into that, I would like to, I was asking earlier, what are things that prevent you from showing up on Reels? Like if there are things that, any blocks that you feel that come up for you, where you feel hesitant, anything that comes up, and it's okay if you don't want to share, but if there is anything.
I
Hi.
I think, for me, a lot of times, like, I could just record. I'm making a tea. Why don't I just record this? But then sometimes I'm making it on my floor, and like I'm hyper aware of like, what if somebody's like, oh, she's not clean with what she's doing, or it's not sanitary, or this or that, or any type of, or like the oven is dirty, or
Mm.
like so it takes time to like clean the whole space, and then I'm just like way too engaged, like wait, it takes way too long. So I guess just that critical eye, and
Yeah.
perfection and all the things, and like what are people gonna pick me apart? But only I'm probably the one that's doing it. So
Yeah, and I mean, it's obviously great, that you're thinking about that. Like
right.
you're putting yourself in the position of the viewer, right? Which
Yeah.
is really valuable because
Yeah.
that's thought that you're putting into it. But yes, it definitely can stop you if you're thinking about every single thing. And maybe for you, it's finding a place in your um kitchen or in your living room or whatever, where like this is the place where I feel comfortable. This is a
Yeah.
place where I'm gonna like remove all things, if that's what it is that helps you feel more comfortable, find that place for you. And
Mhm.
then maybe you can start there, and work your
Yeah.
way up. But yeah, it can I hear you because I feel like I feel limited in the walls or the areas in my home where I do reels because that's where it's
Yeah.
less distracting, it's best lighting. And so sometimes I feel
Right.
like, oh, it's gonna be the same thing or whatever. But that's where we can get creative and play around. But if what it is for you, it's getting to that comfort level where you're like, okay, if I do it here, then I know I won't have as or there's less potential of people like saying things or whatever.
Right.
And yeah, I would try to see if there's a place or something that you can.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just to have a spot, even with the backdrop that I like, or that's not the busyness, and a consistent place. I've thought about doing like a 21-day live challenge or something too, just to like break myself. But
Yeah,
you know,
I think that's a great idea. And the other thing I was going to say is you could try different angles too, and get creative with how it
right.
might look from a different angle. If maybe this angle might not see them so much in the back or anything like that.
Yeah.
But that's actually how I started was the how you said the challenge. And maybe you guys can have your own challenge within the group, even if it's just like 10 days, right? But
Right.
I did a 30-day challenge, and that was the reason why I pushed myself to do one every single day. And that's how I finally got comfortable with it. Cause I mean, that's with everything, right? The more you do something, the more you're going to get comfortable with it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, or team up with a few like of the mamas and be like, hey, we're going to hold each other accountable and 5 days in a row, and then as things come up and you're like, I'm stuck. I don't know. What am I supposed to do with this? Then you can help each other too. So
That's
that might
beautiful.
be good
Thank you.
yeah, to break that like feeling of
Mhm.
the perfectionist. Cause I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. And with that, I just want to add that because reels are so they're really just short clips. Like they're not meant to be this huge production. So definitely if you do notice that it is taking a lot of your time, like sit with that and be like, okay, this is not how I want it to be. Like I don't want to spend so much of my time. So if it means that you literally start out with just doing like 10 seconds of you working, like it's just the camera there and you're doing something and you just post that and that's it. There's no other clip to that. Like keep it simple for you at first, and then as you go, as you continue to practice, then add in like, oh, maybe I want to try transitions, maybe I want to try a few clips, or go with the audio and go boom boom boom, or but don't do that all at first. Like you want to just start slowly at your own pace, and definitely don't ever overwhelm you. So I wanted to talk a little bit about audio, and if anybody needs a little more help with this, I don't, because this is where it might get a little tricky with, I don't know how much people have experience, how much people don't. So I will kind of briefly go through this, but if you have a question, please let me know and I'll stop right here while I'm on this so you can see. Okay. So when you're scrolling through and you see an audio and you can see the little arrow down here next to the audio, that's how you know it's trending. So I like to typically use trending audio because supposedly it's being pushed out more. So that's kind of, and also it's like so hard, right? Like there's so many different audios that you can use, so sometimes that can be overwhelming. So for me it's like I narrow it down, like cool, I'm gonna pick one that's trending that I like, and like kind of go with there. That, and also you can go when you're creating a reel and actually search on there too, or you can be scrolling through the reels little tab there. But so like let's say I see this, it's trending and I really like this audio and I click on it, that'll take me to this screen. Now I can save it, this little flag up here, I'll save it for later so that when I'm going to create a reel, and I think it's in the next screen, I'll show you where you actually find it. But this will always get saved if you click that, so that when you go to create a reel, like let's say I'm like, oh, I really like this audio, but I don't have time to like use it right now. Because if you do click on use audio, it's going to take you to creating a reel. So then you save it, or you can send it to somebody if you want. If sometimes me and my husband send audios to each other so that we don't lose them. But you can save it here. And so this is obviously what it's going to show you. And so you can see right here, it actually says trending, and it'll show you how many reels have used it. Sometimes you'll see one that's trending and it'll only be like 600 views. I mean, sorry, 600 reels. Sometimes they say that's like to jump on those because there's a bigger chance at like, being exposed to it. So these are different things that people say, like, don't, take it like with a grain of salt, like you do you. That's what I like to say. So this is where if I'm on a reel and I want my audio, I'm going to go to this little music thing. So if anybody has questions on this, let me know. Otherwise, I will go on to the next one. This is where if I was on this screen in the reel, like, so I'm already creating, I added a video clip on the reel and I go to music, it's going to take me to this screen. So you can see right here, it says saved. And when I click on that, that's going to be all the audio that you have saved that you've seen from other reels. And it breaks it down between original audio. So it's audios that people have actually created themselves versus like music, regular songs that it's like literally just the song. So you'll see that. And then, but also if you don't want to use saved, it'll give you suggestions based on what you have liked and stuff like that. And so there will be audio here, or you can search if there's a certain one that you want. Right here, this first button, it says controls. This is where it'll lead you to this right here. So you will have, depending on what all you're using, this is the camera audio. So this is like the original camera audio. And let's say I don't want to use that, I just want my song, then I will have that at 100. You also can do a voiceover, which I'm going to take you back over here. And this is where you would do a voiceover. And that's where you can talk during your reel. And excuse me, that's where you would, if you were to use that, you would definitely not have the music all the way up because nobody's going to hear you. So I suggest probably like at a 6, max 10, depending on the song, because some songs are softer, but you definitely don't want it to be too loud where they can't even hear your voice, because that's just like annoying, basically. Because I'm like, I can't hear you. So just be mindful of that, but you have those options. So like, let's say you're somebody that doesn't want to really show your face on camera, or you don't want to be talking on camera, and you want to show like maybe your like let's say Stephanie, you're showing an activity with music for children, and so the video of itself is actually like you doing this engagement this activity with the child, and so you can do a voiceover and start talking about like what you're actually doing, like giving like the behind the scenes or why this is valuable and maybe what the child is receiving at this time. So voiceover is a pretty cool feature where you're still building that connection because they're hearing your voice, right? So that's still you, and that's your brand, that you're going to leave more in somebody's memory when they think of, oh, Stephanie, yeah, I remember when she talked about this and I remember her voice, right? So the text, see, you can see here, like it's changed a little bit, the guidelines, but you can see the yellow. So another thing with the guidelines is when you move it to the side, it'll also show you where it's going to show the likes and the comments and the shares. So don't put your text here either, because then they won't be able to see it, because this is going to be in front of it. And then again, definitely not below here. But when you click on, oh, this is just to trim. So like, let's say I've uploaded this video, and I think I have it in a different slide, but I'll say it right now. A lot of times when we start a video, you go and press the button, right, to record, if you're doing it that way, and then you move your hand out and it's recording, right? So somebody has already seen your hand go out. I like to give the example of, if you were to be at a movie theater and somebody's, you're watching the movie on the screen, and then all of a sudden they're like, okay, cut, switch the scene, it would take you out of the movie, right? You'd be like, oh, it's not like real anymore. I that kind of gives that same feeling, like, or where you're going to end it and you go and like turn it off. You have this clipping feature, use it. It's going to look so much neater, cleaner. I don't know if that sounds grammatically correct, but it's going to give that like feel of like, it's just you giving the video, whatever presentation, talk, whatever you want to say. It's just going to look more professional, I guess. So use that. Definitely use that, crop that off. Or I'm going to see if I have it up here. No, I probably will get in the next one. I'll go back to it. Sorry, I'm going to go back to because this is an important one. So bear with me. And we can at the end too, if there's any of these that you have questions on at the end, like definitely please ask me. But I am gonna mention the timer. That one is so important to remove that finger thing. So if you click on timer and then the next screen, it'll say like use timer, then it'll be highlighted. So then you go to record, and when you go to record, it's going to give you a countdown. It'll be 3, 2, 1, and then it'll start recording, so that you're already in like position, so that you're not doing this. But if you are doing that thing, then it's okay. You can still clip it. So make sure you are clipping. And then same thing with your text on your reels. So I have this text right here. I'm going to edit it by the little bubble down here, the little 3 dots, or you can just click on the bubble itself. I'm going to crop it to how long I want to use it. And it's going to show you the length of time. Usually if it's a shorter phrase, 3 seconds is usually a good amount of time. But again, read it slowly, not like super slowly, but as if you were reading it the first time. Give it time so that somebody is actually reading it and it doesn't go too fast, because yeah, it's a little frustrating because you're like, dang it, I missed it. And just it's another way to make things cleaner. I want to share about cover photos. Does anybody have any questions so far? Okay. We I love this feature like a lot because it makes things so much easier. You can choose to use a cover photo from your actual reel. So you can like slide this little thing down so that if you wanted to use the cover photo from the actual reel, you can. Sometimes it's hard because like if you're talking, like your face is gonna be weird, or if there's a random scene that you liked and you had used words on there, then it might not make sense as a cover photo. You want to almost think of it as like a book cover, or like kind of like a hook too, like kind of giving a teaser of what that reel is going to be about so that somebody would want to click on it and watch it, right? So if you're not going to use one from the actual reel itself, then you're going to add one from your camera roll. And what's really cool now is that when you go to add one from your camera roll, you'll be in this little section, which will show you the cover photo. But then if you click on profile grid, it's going to show you what it's going to actually look like on your grid. And that is awesome because let's say you worked hard on a cover photo and you put the words in and then you upload your reel and then it's like cut off when it's on your feed. And you're like, dang it, like I didn't get the whole title in there. Use this. And sometimes like if you saved a draft and then you come back to it, I would go back to this and readjust it because sometimes Instagram loves to get so glitchy on us, and I'll post it. I'm like, that's not where I had put it. So it's a good habit to have so that you always, it's one of like the last things you do before posting is fix your cover photo on here. And then you obviously can do cover photos on Canva if you are on Canva, and you can do that. And that's an option. Or you could literally do it on your stories. Like go on your story, upload a picture onto your story, or take a picture on your Instagram. Like if you're going to do a story, write the words on there from the actual text on Instagram and make it, and then just save it. There's an option to save that onto your camera roll, and then boom. That's how I started doing my reel covers at the beginning, because I was all about convenience. Like I'm like, I don't want to use any outside apps. I don't want to do anything that's going to take more time. And that's kind of how I learned. And that's kind of my style, is making things easy for you, because we don't need to overcomplicate things. So you can start that way. And if you want later to use Canva and use like different brand colors and your own font, you can totally do that. But this is really important so that it can get in the middle and people can see that title on there. Another little thing that I think people don't know a lot about, but maybe, who knows, maybe you guys do know. You know how I said that the ultimate gesture in social media etiquette is when somebody shares your reel? Sometimes it's hard to know who shares it, right? If they don't tag you. Although now, I will say now Instagram is doing the whole mentions thing. So now you can see it. So there's two ways, but this is also a cool way to see it. So I'm going to share it anyway. But when you get your notifications, you will see it at the top if somebody has mentioned you. But also if you're on if you go on your Instagram profile, so you're not on the reel section, you're on the regular post section, and you click on it, you see these three little dots here. Or also, a side note, your insights, this is good too, to know like how that reel is performing and how many people it reached and stuff. But so you click on these three dots and it'll take you to this, and it'll show you view story reshares. And then it'll take you to this, and it'll show you if that person had a public Instagram, even if they're not your friend, but they have a public Instagram, it'll show you who shared it. And that's really cool because you can click on that. You can, I would advise that you comment and respond to their story and say, hey, thanks so much for sharing. Not only because, you're sharing your gratitude, but also that's a potential follower that you get. Because if they weren't following you and they shared it because they thought it was valuable, they might be like, wow, like she took the time to like thank me. I don't know if you ever followed somebody that has a lot of followers and you share something and they respond back and they say, thanks for sharing. For me, that's like an immediate, like, boom, I have respect for you. You took the time, even though you don't know me, and you could care less about who I am. You took the time to thank me. Like that automatically for me is like, I'm gonna be loyal to you. I mean, in the social media world, it speaks a lot. So definitely pay attention to who's sharing, and definitely if somebody's commenting, go in there and respond to the comment. I would really highly suggest you do that. I know for sure, and maybe because I'm in the social media world and I understand this stuff more, but if I'm looking up a potential business, whatever it is, my kid's like dentist or a potential chiropractor that I want to go to or whatever, right? I will go on to their comments and I see if they respond back to potential clients. That tells me about who they are. And for some people, it might not make it or break it, right? But for a lot of people, it does. And I say do it anyway because it helps engagement. So go in there. It helps you also build your brand, showing up and showing that you care about people that are taking time to be with you on your Instagram. This is a cool Canva hack that I wanted to share with you all. So if you are on Canva, and you want to create something unique to be on this could be on a story or a reel. And let's say it's something unique to you. Maybe it's your logo, or maybe you just want to create something fun on Canva. Okay, so this is the actual Canva. This is on my phone because again, I do a lot of stuff on my phone. But this is the image I made. I did this black on here so you could see, but it's actually white. And I'll explain that in a second. But so let's say I created this and I wanted to write book now and I wanted to put this on my reel. Now I'm going to go in and save it, right? And it has to be PNG so that you can do the transparent background. Okay. Then I download it. Obviously, if you have multiple pages, make sure you only get the page that you want. You download. Now you go to your photos and you're going to go as if you're going to share it. So it would like originally like pop up like as messages, but you're going to do copy photo. Then when you do that, you go to your reel or your story and you go like if you're going to write text and you go to paste and then boom, it's there. It's so cool. I think it's so cool. I have been doing this a lot for the Healing Tree. We have our certain fonts, and I've just started playing with it on my own reels, but we have certain fonts that we use that like if I were to use even like a cool like other app that does video editing or whatever, they might not have the fonts of our brand, and I really want to use the same fonts, right? So what I've been doing is if there's something that I really want to be like with our brand, I'll do this and then I'll add it to my reel this way, and it works the same thing as text. And you can go to the little bubble and edit like the time that you want and on your reel and stuff like that. But now it's totally like unique to you, and you can get like super creative, and you can use like the different graphic, like the little elements, on Canva, and you can create whatever the heck you want, and you can go and put it on your reel. So that's a really cool one that I've been using lately. And I wanted to share that with you guys. So let me know if you have any questions about this. Yeah.
I kind of missed the part about how you make it transparent.
Okay, yeah. So you're gonna go to when you go to download it, like to save it onto your phone or whether it's on the computer.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, but it only will pop up if it's under PNG. If you have it under the JPEG or whatever, it will not. So make sure it's PNG and then hit transparent.
Awesome. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I have a quick question too,
Yeah.
Marita. So like for that one, you have a book now. So are you able to put a link on there somehow as well?
That's a good question. I have not played with that. That would be a good thing to play with. Otherwise, you could use the link feature on if you're doing a story. If you're doing a story, you could totally do like the link feature, but that would be fun to play with to see if that would work. I don't know. That's a good question. Thank you. I'll definitely play with that, and I'll let you know if I figure it out. Yeah. Rod, do you have a question?
Yeah, I was just saying my husband was trying to talk over me.
Yeah.
But I was just saying that I heard like Canva has this whole posting feature now that I keep meaning to get into it, where it can schedule your posts so you can, take a whole day and create a bunch of posts and then it'll schedule to. Have you played with those, like scheduling it through Canva?
No, I have not. But what you can do definitely is Instagram has a scheduling feature now too. I don't know if you've played with that.
Oh no, because I haven't really been creating much, but yeah, I'm gonna check it out.
It does. So I mean, unless you want to try it with Canva, but you can totally do it on Instagram and start scheduling your posts. There might be a few features that like you can't do when you're scheduling. And I don't know all of those. So you'd have to like kind of experiment, but you can schedule that. Or I mean, use that to schedule. Because that is, or like I sometimes will do drafts. The only thing is that you want to make sure that you don't have too many drafts where they just chill there. Like you want to actually take that action and post it. But that's a great way too, to like have sorry, I lost my train of thought, but like have a few reels that are in your drafts already created. And I like to do that as well because there are times where we don't feel creative. Like we just don't. I mean, obviously we know this, right? We're cyclical, and there are times where I'm like, no thanks, I don't want to show up right now, like no. And so it's nice to have those random drafts sometimes where I'm like, okay, like, you know, I'll do this because I don't actually want to do something. So drafts are great too to have. And then you just like, if you have that intention and you're like, you know, I'm going to do Tuesdays and Thursdays, and so I'm going to keep them in my drafts until I'm ready to post. So that's another option too. But you can play around with scheduling on Instagram now too. So that's pretty nice. I'm going to go to the next one, but let me know if you have any other questions. Just a reminder that Jen, you were talking about this, about how you were trying to provide more value. This is what your content should be a majority of, is value. That is how you are going to basically build your community by providing value and creating that engagement. And so it should be majority value. And then obviously every once in a while, like sprinkle in where you're like actually marketing yourself or advertising whatever you have. And you can do that in a way where it's still really authentic. It's not super salesy, and you can plug in little moments when you're providing value. Absolutely. But your value is going to be your biggest asset when you're trying to build your brand on social media. You have to get used to the idea of giving, because nobody is going to want to invest in you unless they understand what value you're providing. And that can be in different forms. Like you don't, it doesn't have to be like the super like educational thing all the time. Educational stuff is really great, right? If you're teaching what the benefits of whatever it is that you do. But it could be like something as simple as sharing one of your favorite quotes, or as far as like inspiring, right? You can do something that you like to do every morning, your affirmations before you, and see, you can do those things and tie in your business, right? So before I go see my clients, I like to do my daily affirmations or whatever. You can always find ways to plug in your business without it feeling salesy, because I know that's another thing that stops a lot of people. I don't want to feel like I'm throwing myself out there so much. No, like be real about it. Like, this is what I do, and here it is. I'm throwing it out there, and if you want to work with me, cool, you know, but just like own it that way. But you can also be entertaining. Like, don't be afraid to add in humor. People love humor, love humor. And I mean, obviously, if you ever are on TikTok, you can see how people will have millions of views over something silly that they did, because again, that's another thing that builds connection. I mean, it's when somebody can make you laugh, like that's a lasting impression. And so there's different ways to provide value, but really invest in your followers by giving them value. Don't like, I think there's that Gary Vee's book about like the jab hook or something like that, where it's like you give and then you take. Like, you don't just take all of a sudden. Like, that's not how you do business. So yeah, and then I just want to add, you want to focus on your client and your customers' pain points, right? Like, how are you solving a problem for them? How are you helping them? If get testimonials and use that to help you with your content. Like if somebody tells you like, wow, this really helped me with Jen, I was in Magical Mamas and this helped me build relationships and not feel so alone. Okay, so now use that to create something, in your content. But always focusing on that so that you're getting to the point of what you do, basically. Very easy clip videos. It's what's called is B-roll. So A-roll is like if I'm talking to you right now, that's A-roll, right? That's me talking to you directly. B-roll would be like something that a scene of something outside your office, or you actually like creating your tea, right? That's all B-roll, where you don't have to, it's documenting. So what we like to teach is you're not creating reels, you're documenting. You're documenting your experience as a business owner. You're documenting your experience as a human. That's where it can be more authentic, because then you just think of a place of, this is where I am right now and this is what I'm doing. How do I share that? How do I share that in a way that I can be creative? How do I share that in a way that like I can give this share my message and explain why my why is so valuable for you? It's, you're documenting, and when you can think of documenting, it takes off a lot of that pressure, right? I'm not like, oh, it doesn't have to be fancy, it doesn't have to be like the coolest like transitions or whatever. I'm just documenting. So you get creative with that too, like show your working space, or you yeah, I think that might have been a typo, but like a before and after of things, or a time lapse. Time lapse are cool. Like if you're creating something, or you're with a client, like just have it recording it as a time lapse, and that's easy clips that you can do. Like again, don't work too hard, right? In creating like all these new things. So a few things to remember before you post. Is this like an in the moment type of thing, like more like raw, that I just kind of like want to connect with my current followers? That would be more of story content, right? Is this representing my business? That one is going to be a little bit more like a reel, because you're going to really want that on as your like digital resume, along with the next one. Is this content that I want to attract new followers with? Again, it's providing that value that potential new followers would see and want to come to your page. And then again, it's kind of repeating those, but am I going deep? Am I going deep, or am I going wide? Is this to really talk one-on-one to my current followers and build and continue building those relationships? Or am I really wanting exposure? Am I wanting to have this be seen by everyone? And then just a little checklist. Can they read it? Is there enough time to read it? Is it visible, or is it too distracting with the font that you chose? Is there a purpose to it? Like, again, remember how I said, like, if they don't know you, they don't care. So if there is a purpose to it, the intention is going to flow with that. So make sure there's that. And also, does it have a beginning, middle, and end? Like, does it actually feel like it's complete, or does it feel like you just like threw like something random where like it ends and you're just kind of like, huh? What was the point of that? So you want to, and I'm not saying it has to be like some crazy thing, right? Just let it flow naturally and feel like it comes to an end, however that looks like for you. And then, like I was saying, the cover photo, how you want to use that, the caption description, which means when you go to post that reel, and there's that part, right? Like right before you're going to post it, that part where you have a description, always give a description there. So a lot of people just, not a lot of people, sorry. Sometimes people will just post a reel with like no description there. And that can kind of feel like, what am I supposed to do with this? Like give that context of why you're posting this. Why is this valuable? It doesn't have to be a, novel, but, and then a call to action if you want one. Is it going to be follow me for more? Is it going to be read more in the caption? Is it going to be the link to book with me, or go to the link in bio to book with me? Whatever it is, you don't always have to have a call to action, but it can be very valuable if it's, if it makes sense in your reel. So another thing that I wanted to talk about was the last few reminders. When you're talking in your stories, I know I talked a lot about like how you can talk in your stories or even a reel, make sure you have those captions like generating as you're talking. A lot of people, especially a lot of moms, don't watch videos with the sound on. Like, I know I definitely don't, because my kids are gonna be like, what are you watching? Or like if I'm putting them to sleep or whatever, make sure you can lose somebody like that, because they're gonna be like, I don't know what she's saying, so I'm just gonna like go, I'm not. And I've had moments where I'm like, I'm gonna go back to it because I really want to know what she said. I forget. Make sure those captions are going. I mean, that's literally just a button you can press and it'll like generate those captions for you as you're talking. And then providing that context so that you're not just like putting a post and then just like not writing anything about it. Like, why did you do that? And don't post just because. Have intention. So if that means it's only once a week, it's once a week for now. Don't post just because you have to post. It feels icky. It's not intentional. Just don't do that. The relevant hashtags. I know there was a question in the chat, but I'll talk a little bit about this right now too. Use hashtags as like what is in your reel. Like what would somebody search for, and then to find your reel. So if I am talking about let me see. If I'm talking about, I'm just going to use my own example of like the healing tree. If I'm talking about, or if I posted about an event, right? What would somebody be searching where they would want to find this event? So if I did a reel where I'm at my workspace and my dog is on the side of me and I'm maybe I create shirts. Maybe I create shirts. My dog's next to me. I am not going to put on my hashtag a labradoodle if that's my dog. Like nobody would be, that makes no sense. Nobody would be searching, or if they are searching for a labradoodle, they're not looking for your business for t-shirts, right? So you're going to put custom t-shirts. Like what is somebody going to be searching for? So that's what you want to use hashtags for. Just don't do like random ones where it makes absolutely no sense. And then obviously be authentic, be yourself. And just for the relevant hashtags, I wanted to touch back to what you were saying, Ra, about how you were creating reels about your daughter and they were getting, the like massive exposure, but then it wasn't about your business. So it's like I was saying earlier, it's okay to have reels every once in a while that it's just like about you or your personal life and you want to share, right? That's okay. You just don't want to, if your goal is to grow your business and draw people in that would want to work with you, then that's where you don't want to be posting other things that would bring someone to your page. Like, let's say you, it was about toddler meals. You did a reel about toddler meals. And then so somebody's like, ooh, that was really good. I want to learn more about what meals I can give my toddler. And they go back to your page and actually you're talking about astrology. And they're like, that's not what I came here for, So that's where you would want to be. Did you want to say something, Rob?
Oh, well, I was just saying, in my defense, that was for my personal page. So I can practice just to be, no, but I'm kidding. But, and it's funny you brought that up.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree because I, you know how sometimes I have multiple accounts set up. So I have my personal account set up and then, when you post like on Instagram, then it'll funnel it over to Facebook or different things like that.
Yeah.
And somehow a reel that I posted, the last couple reels that I posted on Instagram were getting funneled over to my business page. And I don't even, so before we had this conversation, I just deleted those like 2 hours ago. So it's very on topic for me and I was looking at my page and it is cringe. Like it totally was like, why is this here? And I deleted it right away. Cause I think it is nice though, to have little like, this is my family, but I feel like there's a way to do that's relevant.
Yes.
And the reels that I had accidentally got funneled. I still don't know how that happened because my business page isn't linked to my personal
I-
So anyways, but
yeah.
stuff like that happens. And so you have to be like careful about it. But I try to practice on my personal and I got really good at it. And now my business
Yeah.
page has like no followers and not, I should have practiced on my business page.
Yeah, well, and that's okay, because that's the whole, it's a learning experience, you know? So, but I'm glad you had shared that. Like, and also, yeah, I've heard that a few people that have said that, like, ended up posting like that. So you have to be careful with that too. But I'm glad you shared it, because it was a really valuable example about how, like, you didn't meet, you know, you were just, it was on your personal page and you were sharing that. And then it got you to think like, wait, like, do I want to do this? Like, is this what I want to do? And that's okay to have those moments frequently, all the time. Good. Like, you should be asking yourself all the time, is this what I want to be sharing? Is this part of my brand? You know, definitely do that, because that can happen where, like, you know, we have a few people in our group that, like, they've been sharing a lot about their pets because they love their pets, but now they're like, well, I want to share about my business. And so that's where you have to be intentional with what kind of content you're creating and what kind of digital resume you want to have. So I do really like that you shared that, because that's a valuable piece to remember. What do you mostly want to get? What kind of followers do you want to get? I'm going to actually switch out for a second. I'm going to go dark because my battery's going to die. So hold on one second. Do you see me? Yeah. Okay. Okay. And whoops, I gotta stop that. I'm gonna share the cool reel that we're gonna do together, and then this will be yes, the last thing, and then we'll have to have questions. Okay. Or do you want to do questions first, Jen? It's up to you. How you wanna?
Let's share about the reel that we're going to
Okay.
be doing together, and then hopefully we'll have a few minutes for questions after.
Okay. This won't take too long. In fact, I'll probably do you have a group, Jen, for everyone that's currently in the Momboss right now?
Yeah, we have a WhatsApp group. Yep.
Okay. So if anything, I can also do a video like that too, if any further instruction is needed, and then you can share it on there too. Okay. So I'll make this like pretty brief, and then we can have time for questions. So we'll have to thank my husband for being a trooper and helping me so that you can kind of see what it's going to look like. But this is the audio that we're going to be using. I can send it to you in a message, Jen, and then you can send it to everybody if they want to find it that way too. That's an option. But so basically, we're going to feature every single one of you for about like 3 to 4 seconds, enough so that I can have your name and possibly like the name of your business. We'll see how it turns out. But if you go towards more for the 4 seconds, I can have both of those on there. So it's let's do 4 seconds. I know I put 3 to 4. Let's do 4 seconds. So in your head, if you can count down like 4 seconds without looking like you're counting. So basically what we're going to do is every single one of you is going to get featured, and it's going to be a fun little transition in between. So it'll be fun. And you got to hear a little bit of the song right now, but this is what we're going to do. So you're going to start with the phone down kind of like in front of your hips, and that's where you're going to start. Okay. And that's where you're going to press record. And don't worry about like the trimming and stuff. I will do that on my end, but just start there. So when you're gonna bring it up, make sure that's a fluid movement. So you're not gonna go like, no, you're gonna go like this. And then you're gonna be recording yourself and like dance to the song for 4 seconds. When you're done, you're just gonna go back down. And then you're gonna hit record again. Okay, that's all you have to do. That's it. And then just send your video in. But this is what it's gonna look like. If it I don't know. We'll see if you can get the idea with how we did it. don't know if you saw, like it'll feel really fast, which will be kind of cool because then all of a sudden like the next one of you is going to pop up. So it's like super simple, but that's what we'll be doing so that that's what you'll be doing so that you each get a little feature. If you have any questions on that, let me know.
Okay, so I just want to say we couldn't hear the audio on it.
Oh, no way.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, but so what I think we're doing though is so we're gonna like have our phone and we're gonna be holding it down by our hips and then we're gonna swing it upwards and then we're gonna be dancing to the song and then we're gonna swing it back down again.
Yep,
Right?
that's it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm really sad you didn't hear the song. Okay, well, I don't know if that has to do with, I'm not sure, but you'll get to hear it when you get it from Jen. Okay, I'm gonna open it up to questions and I can go back also in the chat.
I think it would be really cute to show them last year's too, if anybody, because last year's is similar. It was just a hand. We like put our hand up to the camera and back instead of the swoosh, like, but it's very similar.
Yeah, let me see if I could probably, but you won't get the sound again, but I could show you what that looks like if you guys want to see it. Or let me see.
Yeah, I might be able to put it in our group
Okay.
chat. If I think I can just download it from the Magical Mama Instagram, right?
Yeah. I was gonna try to see if I could put it in the presentation right now, like in.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I don't know how fast I can do it if you don't mind. It won't take too long, but I just need to. Okay.
I guess too, I have been struggling. I talked to Jen about that, struggling with like what to post on my personal or like to put everything on, where to post what on my personal page at least. Business, I always keep just business, but yeah, the personal page, I've been struggling with that a lot. Like how much to promote my business on there because it has more followers,
Your personal does?
Yeah, a lot more followers.
Yeah, so we usually recommend if you can just have one account because sometimes it feels it's hard to go back and forth, where you can sorry, I was saving that. If you do like kind of like 80-20 rule on your business one, where you do like 80% business and 20% personal, that's really valuable because you're also building your brand that way too and letting people know, because nobody wants to just only see business, right? They want to know you. They want to get to know you. I mean, people don't buy things, they buy people. Like what it means is they're going to do business with you because they know, like, and trust you. So it is valuable to share like personal stuff about you on your business because that's another form of building a relationship. So yeah, I could see how that would be hard. What you could do is you could do like the whole collaborator thing with the reels so that your personal and your business one it shows up on both of your feed. Have you ever tried that?
Yeah, I have. But the way I have it set up, it won't let me do both. So I have my Instagram set up to where it posts both on my Facebook, but then for some reason I can't, because it's hooked up to Facebook, I can't link my personal and my business one on Instagram. So I have to like choose which one to link. It's weird.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I mean it does make it a little tricky. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I found the reel from last year, so I can just put it up to the screen for now. Is that okay?
Yeah, you can. I'm about to upload it, but the only thing is that I probably won't have sound, but I can still upload it if they want to see it like clear, and then we can hear the sound through you.
Yeah, I'll put it on right now just while you're uploading that.
Okay.
See it, just, yeah. Dang it. That's so good, narrator.
That actually looks pretty clear. So I don't know. It's still uploading. So I could potentially still show it if you guys wanted to see it a little bit bigger, but that was like, I'm surprised how clear I was able to see it because I didn't think it was going to be that easy. So I mean, it's uploading anyway, so I'll just go ahead and do it. But okay, I'm going to go through some of these. So I know you had asked Jen about how do hashtags help us. So yeah, I would say the biggest thing is if somebody is searching, like, I don't know if you guys have ever actually done this yourself. I've done it several times, but like I'm looking for a service in Arizona and I will literally like search the hashtag, like for my locks, like I will literally put like Arizona loctician, and that's how I've found the people that work on my hair. And so hashtags are very valuable in that way because that's how you have to see it. Like if somebody was to search for you, what would they be searching for? Does that answer your question?
Yes, that is perfect. Thank you. I've never used hashtags to search for something before. So that
okay.
makes perfect sense. Okay.
Yeah. And I think more and more people have been doing that, but even like regardless, like it's still good to be relevant so that your reel is being shown to what matches the hashtag. Does that make sense? So like if you have a super random hashtag, it's just not gonna help you get seen by who wants to see you. I'm going to share my screen again because sorry. Let me see where I put it. I put it on one of the slides and I don't know which one. Oh, here it is. Okay. Oops. Okay. Yeah, so you don't get to hear the sound.
We are so cute.
For sure.
So it'll be pretty similar, just a different song. And oops, how do I, oh, stop. Okay. Yeah, so yeah, you guys are gonna do amazing. It's fine. Just have fun with it. Dance like how you would normally dance if you're like dancing with your kids at home, just have fun with it.
And then everybody can just text that to, what would be the best way to get that to you?
Yeah, I'm gonna put my phone number in the chat. Is that okay with everyone? If you just text it to me?
Yeah, and then I'll put it in our group WhatsApp also. Cool.
Okay. And yeah, I mean, we'll try like that. Sometimes, like, how videos sometimes are like kind of wonky, and like if you send it through a text or like send it a different way, it's like weird. So we'll do that like case by case basis. I know that last year, some people, it was better if they sent it to me on Facebook. Sometimes it was better over text. So we'll just see what happens with that. But for now, we'll just do that.
I think it depends on what kind of phone you have. Because I have that problem with my husband. I have to send him video because he has an Android. I have to send it to him on Facebook.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
And
Yeah.
I have an iPhone. So like I think iPhone to iPhone does good, but like, you know, iPhone doesn't like Android, so they'll just mess everything up.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and see what that looks like, because you're right. I think and then also depending on the camera you have too. So we'll see how it goes. And then I'm gonna go back up actually, because
And then I would say, please also text or Facebook message Narita with the name of your business, because
yes.
I actually think it would be better to put the name of the business on there as opposed to the name of the person, or like you were saying, both would be ideal. But I think if you had to choose one or the other, we probably would want our businesses on there.
Okay, yeah, please do give me that information, because I think with the 4 seconds it should be more than enough to have that on there. And then Jen, you had asked what percentage of your content should be an invitation to sign up for services or buying something. Yeah, so if you can do, I mean, you don't have to, it's not like a concrete like thing, you know, the whole 80-20 rule, but if you can do majority, or at least if there's a balance of you providing value, I would do it that way, because yeah, like I always try to see it as like if it was a real life interaction. We don't typically go up to somebody right away and say like, hey, like you should do this, I'm doing this, you know. It's like, you know, this is why I love this, and this is what I've been doing lately. I've been having these experiences with these people, and I've been helping them with this, you know, like you want to give that. So does that kind of answer?
Yes, and actually I had a huge breakthrough understanding with this training tonight. I did not understand that the people who are, or that our stories were just for those who are already following us. I did not know that.
Oh, cool.
And so that's huge for me, where I'm like, yeah, I could just do a little video of myself, because I'm like thinking that anybody is going to see that and be confused about who I am or what I'm talking about. So that was a huge eye opener for me, and it's
Oh,
going to help me so much in directing the content. So thank you for that.
yay. Okay, that's awesome. Yeah. Anyway, I was gonna say, sorry, I wanted to keep touching on that, but you said it all perfectly. So that was great. And then also, of course, that's with if you're public, right? So like if you're private, your reels won't, or your post might not get that much reach, right? So that's the other part of it. But yeah, your stories, no matter what, are only going to go to your followers. Unless, of course, you tag somebody and then they share it on theirs, right? But for the most part, it's your followers. I get a lot of share it on AZ families on comments on my posts. Yeah, a robot, what is that? And should be engaged. I wouldn't. Who's Stephanie? Unless if you go to their profile and like, but if it's written like that, like it's probably not somebody legit. They'd probably be reaching out in a different way than in your comments. But I'm sure if you see it on, like if you click on their profile and see what it is, you can usually see if like they're like it's like random, like if their profile is like a little random, or like if they have like another way to tell, like if people don't have real followers, like it'll show like thousands of followers, and then you go to their like post and it's like got like 5 likes. Or sometimes if we've done this a lot because we can see this stuff, but or we pick up on this, but you go to their followers and they're all just like, you can just tell when they're not real, basically. So if you can judge it by that way, or even if just like, I honestly think when they do that, or like a lot of the like promote it on, you know, like those things, I just don't engage with it, honestly. So I would just ignore it. Usually if they're going to want to actually talk to you, they're going to send you like a legit message, like it's a real person, or like email you or something like that. So yeah, I would just not engage. You could engage if you want and like say something random if you want to up your engagement. I mean, if you want to.
Yay for up engagement.
I have a friend who will literally like say like silly things to them. Like I wouldn't recommend that, but like, just I was just saying, it's always like whenever somebody says something, it's always great to like comment on them. But I never engage with those. Okay. Okay, I made a bunch of reels posts trying to figure out how to keep visible. I never saw a guideline.
Oh, I was just commenting back to you when you were like, I don't know who puts them outside the guidelines. And I was like, girl, I didn't know there was guidelines. I had to figure it out after it posted and it looked all crazy. And then I would have to go in and figure out where to put it. And then I'd repost it and it would still look crappy. I didn't get it. I didn't see the lines.
Well,
I
no,
think there's lines now.
that's also though, with that though, you're right. Like sometimes it's weird. You have to like shift it around for a while, like several times for them to show up. I don't know why sometimes it's wonky and it doesn't. So you're right. It could very well be that some people just don't know that they're there, right? So yeah, some play around with it, and it's always like good to double check. Sometimes what I do is I like to write like hello or whatever, something random, and I put it where the guideline ends at the top and the bottom, and then I like use that to guide me, and then I delete it when I'm done creating my reel, because sometimes it won't. I don't know why. It's weird like that, but yeah. Yeah, how I look, how the house looks, how my house is so dark, shitty lighting, having my daughter around all the time. Yeah, I would say like, especially if you are wanting to target moms too, like I wouldn't worry so much about like the real life stuff, right? And I mean, like I said, it's good to just be real also. So yeah, I've had to do a lot of reels like where like my kids are somewhere in the background and they're like kind of used to it now. So they kind of just leave me alone. But I could see how like that. I think you were talking about like things that stop you. Yeah. Raw about
Yeah, I was. And my daughter's getting a little older now where like before I was trying to make like YouTube videos and do all of that and I like could not because she was like climbing the walls and it was just not safe. And the camera was like, I was like watching her through the camera. It was weird. So I was like, that's not a good look. But anyways,
it's hard with the little ones, yeah. And then the lighting, yeah, like I get it. I don't have a lot of windows, so I have to literally be by the same window all the time. But you can get creative and like go outside and do things like that too. But just just try your best to have like the best lighting possible.
I will say, when you were talking about the commenting for engagement, a long time ago, I saw this little girl who's like an entrepreneur and she like got bullied and then started her own business and she's like a millionaire now. And she was talking about being famous on social media. And when people would troll her, her dad told her to say to them, oh, that's interesting. Tell me more about that. And then they like rant comment and then they're like, oh, interesting. Tell me more. She just like repeats that. And she says that it just like triples her engagement.
Wow.
And then but she just with love and kindness says, oh, that's an interesting perspective. Tell me more. And then they do. And then eventually they get it and then they stop. But
wow,
like,
that's funny.
I thought that was genius. I thought that
it is. It really is, because I came across more so on TikTok. I'm not really on TikTok anymore, but people are mean on TikTok. At least that's been my experience. And whoa, like the things that they would say. And then I would try to like explain, like why or whatever, and then I realized, oh my God, this is awful. Cause then they keep going and keep going. But those were the videos that had the most views because there was all that engagement. So you have to like figure out how comfortable you feel. Cause sometimes people can be really hurtful. And I'm not saying that you guys will ever encounter that, but it is possible. Unfortunately, with social media. And my husband has this huge ass light in front of me, raw. So that's why the lighting is so awesome, because he's a photographer. On text and reels, and an additional question on sound. Oh, yes. Lanita? Am I saying it right? Hi.
Yes. Hi. So I've seen before where you can drop the text in and have different things popping in different parts of the reel. And I have tried with all of my might to figure out how to make it just in those little sections. And when I drop the text in and I see the little dots but I cannot figure how to like it just to pop up on certain parts and different things pop in on different parts of the reel.
Okay.
It's
Let
baffling to
me,
me.
yeah, let me see. I can briefly show you right now. I think you might have missed it. Yeah. Did you pop in later?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me show you really quick what it looks like. And maybe this might even just like this might be helpful. And if anybody else has any more additional questions about text, like definitely let me know if can you see it? Did I
Yes.
share the right screen? Okay. I'm like, oops, I don't know what I'm showing. So let me see if it's here. Yeah, it is here. So this is my text right here, and you know how it has that little bubble?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you click on that, do you see how this whole bar shows up?
Uh-huh.
So you would just slide it. So like, let's say I only want it on this side, I would just slide it all the way down to here and cut it here. Have you
Okay.
tried that?
And then can I add something else somewhere else?
So then what's going to happen, and I'm sorry, I don't have a picture of that, but you'll have multiple bubbles of these and they'll go all across here. So like, let's say my next word is, hey mama, or my next one is, how are you doing? Right. I'll go up and I'll add, do I have? Yes. I'll go up here and I'll add the text, right? Another one.
Uh-huh.
And then it'll pop up somewhere on my screen and I can drag it right to where I want to position it on my actual screen. And then let's say I wanted it to start after this one. So this one I chose to end right here.
Mm-hmm.
So then my next bubble, what I'm going to do is because it's every time you add a new text, it's going to put it on the whole entire video.
Right.
So then you're going to have to slide it to where that one stopped. And I'm going to have it start here. And then I would bring this one back over here and then end it here if I only wanted it on this part. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And thank you. Because that was happening where I was like, okay, I can see where I can put it on one part or cut it, but all the rest of the text was staying. And I could not figure out how to edit it so that only one thing was on certain parts.
Yeah. And then what's helpful too is I had mentioned earlier about how like usually 3 seconds is good if it's like a shorter phrase. Obviously it's going to be different if it's longer or whatever. But when you do, like if I drag it down here and it ends here, when you tap on that, it'll show you the amount of seconds that is on there. And sometimes it's valuable to know because maybe on here it might look like, yeah, that's a good amount of time, but then it's like, it's only 2 seconds and that's not enough time for somebody to read. So that's a nice thing also to keep in mind.
Perfect. Thank you.
And
That
then,
explains.
good. I'm so glad. And then about the sound, you had another question?
Yeah. So I was looking through reels. I think that's probably one of my biggest hangups. I will spend forever looking at audio, like trying to find the perfect audio to put into the reel. And I noticed when you were saying about the trending arrow, there are certain reels, like the one I just clicked on my phone, where it doesn't say use audio. If I go up to that little ribbon and save it, can I still then use it later?
Yes. So that's interesting that it doesn't say use audio for you.
There's
This
every
doesn't show
one,
up.
not all of them, just some of them.
Do you have a business account?
Yes.
Okay, that could be it. So when you have a business account on Instagram, you don't have access to all the sounds. So what we usually recommend is for you to have a creator's account, because a creator's account, you'll still get to do insights. I don't know if I'm sorry, I don't remember the order that I had all this. Where was it? What was the story reshares? Oh, here it is. So you know how here you can see insights? That's something that as a business account you can have, right?
Yes.
So when you switch over to a creator's account, you still have that option or tool, right? To have like all this stuff, but you can also use any sound. You have access to all the sounds. Versus a personal account, you wouldn't have. I don't think you have the insights, but I don't know. Things change all the time. But
personal account doesn't. No.
Okay. So a creator's account would allow you to have that and you get all the sounds. We did run into that problem actually last year because there was somebody couldn't get the sound and we found out that was why she had to switch over to
Ah,
a creator
okay. Good to know. I did not know that either.
Yeah. So, but yeah, once you save it, when you go to a reel, so like this is, on the reel and you click on saved right here, it'll show up all the reels that you
Okay.
have saved. And
Perfect.
just keep in mind now they have this, and like I said, if anything looks different on these, it's because sometimes they'll do updates and not everybody gets it at the same time, but eventually you will have it. But if you have this, because like when they first rolled out with this, I was like, I saved an audio and I can't find it. And it was under music. So just look under
Right.
both. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Oh, cool. Ross says she has a lot of ideas for reels. Yeah, I feel like a lot of times just even talking about things together, about reels ideas, it will spark new things. I totally recommend you guys do that. Any more questions? I know I went a little over, so thanks for spending a little extra time with me tonight.
Thank you so much, Narita. This was super helpful, just chock full of helpful tips and tricks. And I so appreciate you. And if anybody wants to work more with you, is that something that you're doing right now?
Let me, let me share once again, real quick. I was gonna, let me explain. I'm like, it's actually really hard to do all these things, huh? I'm like, my husband does stuff like this all the time. I'm like, how do you, okay, I'm gonna present this one more time. Yes, you can see that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for asking, Jen. I was gonna share this and I totally forgot. So we do have, like I said, my husband and I do have a group coaching. It's a community and a course, and we call it the Real Magic Experience. And so that is something that we just started with our first like beta group. And then in May, we're going to be opening it up to another group. So I don't have like all the details right now as we're like going to be opening it up in May. But if you would like to, you can always give me your email and then I can share whenever we are ready to open that up. But basically what we talk a lot about is shifting your mindset about social media so that it's actually something that we're using for the good, because there's bad things about social media too. Learning up how to show up confidently on video, a major deep dive into your social brand and building that. And then a huge thing is about showing up authentically and with integrity. So that's our big project that we're working on right now. And like I said, if you'd want more info later for when we're ready to have the next group, you can send me your email. So thanks for asking, Jen. Did I stop sharing that or no? I did, right? I stopped sharing that, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
We're just seeing you now.
Thanks.
Awesome.
I'm like, I make reels. I'm still new to like the slideshows and stuff, but I'm learning.
This is beautiful.
Thanks,
Ross
Jen.
says she wants the information for the Real Magic. So
Okay, awesome.
yeah, thank you so much. And thanks for spending extra time with us, Narita. I really appreciate that and answering all the questions. And I'm so happy to have this resource to come back to. And Lanita, I had that same question and I forgot to ask it. So thank you. I think a lot of people have that issue. So awesome. Thank you so much. This was awesome. So this is recorded, so it'll be sent out to everyone. And then I'll be following up with everyone to make sure that they're sending you their little 4-second video recording. And that can just be from their phone, right? It doesn't have to be through Instagram. It's just on their phone, recording themselves for like 4 seconds.
Yeah.
We'll be putting that for us.
And I can share this if you want me to like write up like little step-by-step thing, if you wanted to send that in your WhatsApp group. But you can do it and actually like when you're creating a reel, if you want to listen to the music with it so that you're dancing to it, So that's an option too. You can actually do it like if you're creating a reel, record the thing and then just save it onto your phone and then send it to me. So that's another option because I know sometimes it's nice to hear the song. So and like I said, I can share more of those like written up instructions if you want, Jen.
Yeah, I think just a step by step is probably good. I think I'll be able to send the link in the WhatsApp group. I just realized so they can actually go onto Instagram and watch the video from last year as opposed to
Yeah.
downloading it without the sound. So I will do that.
Yeah. And if I send you the link to the actual audio on Instagram, you could probably send that too. And it'll probably lead them to that too. So that might be easy.
Yes, that would be great. If you'll do that, I'll forward that on. So
Mhm.
awesome. All right. Well, I won't keep you anymore. Thank you so much. Let's all blow Narita kisses. Thank you,
Aw.
sister.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you so
thank you.
much.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Have a great night, everyone.
Awesome. All right. Good night, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Good night.